Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Third Banner Pod. After Louisville held off Indiana today in football, I just got back home. Throat might sound just a little bit raspy. I was at the game. All hail U of L. Welcome, Mikey, to the chat. That was a scary one. That was a scary one. Could have been a lot easier, I think, for us. I think it's definitely a tale of two halves. It was pretty scary, pretty scary. And sitting in the Indiana section with all IU fans, let me tell you something. It was a interesting game. There were times where I felt amazing at the game. It was just so awkward because I wanted to just go crazy and cheer and celebrate, but all of the guys, all of them were sitting down, so I didn't want to be the only douchebag standing up, and everybody on the Louisville side standing up and cheering. And then, of course, the second half happened, and it was a absolute frenzy on the IU side. And there I was sitting there. Um, definitely a scarier game. I think the cardiac cards came to play today, made things very interesting. My experience on the IU side, I had a drunk woman in front of me who was just talking shit before the game started, talking about how L stood for loser and we're all a bunch of losers and to go back to our cesspool city. And I just let her ramble, let her talk, didn't say a word. And then when we were up 21 nothing at halftime, I just tapped her on the shoulder and I said, "Hey, I'm going to go buy you a Louisville shirt so you can be one of the losers with us. Since we're up 21 to nothing, I think you should join the good guys." And then I got up and left, and I think she thought I was really going to buy her a shirt because she told my IU in-laws that I was an asshole. And I was just glad we won the game. I was just glad we won the game because that would have been an unbearable situation to tell her that, as obnoxious as she was the whole game, and then they turn around and actually end up winning that game. Very scary at the end. I'll be completely honest. I didn't feel great about it in the second half. When they got down to the goal line, even when it was ruled down at the half-yard line, I was scared to death that they were going to get that half yard on fourth down. And I don't know. We weren't scoring in the second half, so it's hard to say if it goes to overtime. I don't know what happens. So yeah, Larry, Uncle Larry, thanks for joining, man. New sign on the John F. Kennedy Bridge. Welcome to Louisville. We own Indiana. Cards forever. That's right, man. It doesn't have to be pretty. At the end of the day, we are 3-0. 3-0. And that's what counts. That's the most important thing. I'm gonna pull up the box score. I had it up and then my computer shut it down. Because I think the box score, I've not looked at the box score yet. Like I said, I just got home, but I think it's gotta be very interesting. Let's see. Scoring summary. Game stats. So time of possession was pretty much even. First downs were even. Total yards, we had 422 total yards. 184 of those were rushing. I do think that rushing wise, we could have done a whole lot better. I think as far as giving the ball, I don't mean that we ran the ball bad. I mean, I think we could have focused a bit more on the run. I don't think they could have stopped it all game. But you can also argue that part of the problem in the second half was that we just dropped balls we should have caught. I counted 3 key drops in the second half alone. I know Kevin Coleman had a couple of big drops. It wasn't his best game. Jamari Thrash had a big drop, although he played a really good first half in particular. Jack Plummer, I think the blitz did bother him in the second half, but I'm not going to put too much on Jack this game. He made some throws in this game that I saw him make at Purdue and then thought he just couldn't make anymore based on the first 2 games, but he made them today. He had a lot of really good deep balls, a lot of good long balls. Uh, threw some passes on the money. I do think he's got to sit in there a little bit more on the blitz. So that was something I did notice in the second half because IU brought the pressure in the second half. They kind of sat back, uh, gave Jack Plummer an opportunity to pick him apart without blitzing, which he did. Tom Allen made great adjustments. Give him all the credit in the world. I think that was something that I expected us to kind of do ourselves, bring a little bit more pressure. We did not do it, and it cost us a bit in the third quarter in particular. But to focus more on Jack Plummer, I think he played well, and I think his receivers got to bail him out a little bit more. I don't know if any of you in the chat saw the same thing I did there. I'm not saying he played perfect in the second half, but again, if the receivers catch the balls that he put right on the money, he throws for over 300 yards a day. His completion percentage looks a little better. As it stood, he threw for 238 passing yards. He also had a really nice pass that was called back on that holding. I think it was in the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter. He did miss Jawar Jordan out in the flat for a first down, and then that holding would have never happened. But the throw itself was beautiful. He did things today, Jack Plummer did, throwing the ball. He even threw a beautiful pass. I can't remember who it was that caught it over there. I think it was number 2, whose name escapes me because I'm tired. Uh, and he threw a beautiful pass to the sideline that takes some arm strength, and that was a beautiful pass. And I was happier with Jack Plummer today. It's not perfect. I don't think he's going to be the guy that just blows us away, but he doesn't have to be. He kind of reminds me a bit of Will Gardner and Bobby Petrino's freshman, or not freshman, his first season in a second tenure. He kind of gives me Will Gardner vibes. Uh, so yeah, IU only had 58 rushing yards. So we stopped the run all day, did really well there. 58 to our 184. They did have 299 passing yards, which that for me was the biggest problem I had with the defense. Ron English, my guy, you got to bring pressure. You got to bring it, man. Got to bring pressure. Hey, Captain Anthony, how's it going, man? By the way, guys, not sure if any of the other guys are going to be able to join. I sent something out, but that they're all kind of running around doing their own thing. They may pop on here, one or two of them, but I think it might just be me. But anyway, Ron English, you got to bring the heat, man. You let a redshirt freshman quarterback sit back there all day. So that would be a complaint, a gripe that I have, a criticism, and something to fix going forward. Because to give up 299 passing yards to Trayvon Jackson, I just think if we would have made it a little bit harder on him back there. Now you could argue that our front four did not get enough pressure at times, and I'm with you. But it's rare that you see it work where you don't blitz at all, and your front four is just able to consistently get back there. You got to disguise your pressure. IU did it to us, and that's why Jack had some problems. He had some problems getting set. As good as I do think Jack played, due to the receivers dropping the ball, uh, I think that he's got to stand in there and take some of those hits a little bit better. I think he gets a little bit too happy feet at times. But then on the flip side of that, I will say that Jack Plummer has what I call wizard feet. Wizard feet are when you're not super athletic looking and you're not super fast, but you're able to move your feet in weird ways to avoid getting hit. And a good example of that in basketball would be like a Luke Hancock when he played here. He had wizard feet. When he dribbled the ball, he wasn't fast, he wasn't athletic, but he somehow always got to the rim at will and was able to do stuff. That's kind of like Jack Plummer in football. He's got those wizard feet, and he bailed us out a few times with the run. And I'll admit that's something I never knew Jack Plummer had in him until this year was the ability to scramble, not like a Lamar or a Malik, obviously, but he can get you 10 yards. He can get out there if the play breaks down. I didn't know Jack Plummer had that in him before he got here. Captain Hampton says we need more pressure if the D line is not getting it done. Absolutely, man. You got to start bringing 5, bringing 6. You got to disguise it. You got to, and with a red shirt freshman quarterback, you got to mix it up a little bit. You got to give him looks he hasn't seen. You can't just sit back there, 3 or 4 guys rushing, and give him 5 seconds. He's gonna pick you apart. Front four does have to get better at applying pressure. I don't think they had their best game. Stephen Herron, I need to see some more out of him, to be honest. I thought we were getting a little bit more. I know me and some of the guys at the game were talking about it, and then also in the Discord that we need a little bit more out of him. Trent says Plummer gets a B plus grade today, very close to an A. His tackles and receivers let him down today. Plummer only had a couple of mental mistakes. Yeah, I'm with you, Trent. I'd probably give him a solid B only because I think there's a couple of times when he gets blitzed, he needs to stand in there a little bit longer before he runs to the outside or allows his feet to not be set. But you know, that's nitpicking here. You know, that Jack Plummer wasn't dropping the balls out there. He put it on the money enough. We should have got more than 21 points. That's fool's gold, that score. You look at that and you think, man, Jack must have had another really bad game. And you look at the stats and they kind of back that up. But I counted at least 4 drops today. That should have been easy catches. And, you know, hopefully going forward they will be. Now, Jamari Thrash, he did have one bad drop, but he's still that dude. What do you have, like 4 catches for like 160 yards or something crazy? It was up there. It was up there. So he had another big game. Jawar Jordan got a lot of touches this game. That was great to see. That was great to see. And when I'm looking here, five we averaged 6.8 yards per play. IU had averaged 6 yards per play. 62 plays of 61, one turnover each. This was a very even game because again, it was the tale of two halves. It's just wild to think you can be up 21-0, and then at the end of the game, it's an even game. Oh, we got Ty in here. Ty was able to join us.
Hey,
Looks
let's
like
go.
Ty made it back in. He was at the game. We met at halftime.
Yeah.
So,
fun times, man.
what are your
What a
biggest
game.
takeaways, man, being at the game? Now, you were on the good guys' side. I was over there. And I mean, that was some of my negativity in the Discord. I'm sitting in the IU section, and at one point, the vibe felt like they were going to win. And I think it was just amping up. Their energy level was just going through the roof.
Yeah. The
And I'm
second
just
half
sitting there.
the second half was definitely just all IU momentum, man. They rode that momentum. Started with the onside kick, and it just spiraled from there. I will say the first half was awesome.
Awesome.
The first half was great. The drive where Turner ended with the touchdown, that's probably our best drive all season so far. I think it was awesome.
And we talked about that, and in person, I agreed with you there. I mean, and Turner that was a hell of a drive for Turner. I thought he would get a little bit more time after that. That's a little nitpick thing I have. Like, I think we could have run the ball a bit more. And I think that at times when Jawar played a great game, but I think there were times where we could have spelled him, put Turner in there, not miss a beat. Because they couldn't stop either one of them. And but I mean, that's nitpicking, you know. I also think if we catch more passes in the second half in particular, then maybe we don't have that conversation. So
for sure. I thought the defense, like it, you say what you want about Ron English's defense. I know a lot of us are, there's a lot of things we all kind of see. They're like, man, we wish we would change, and say what you want, but 14 points, it's kind of hard to argue with the results. And I know in the second half, it looked like the defense was getting gassed. The offense just didn't do anything for them in the second half. They didn't give the defense anything. And I could kind of feel that they were getting tired, but they put together 2 stops when they needed to.
Yep.
And to only hold them to 14 points for the whole game, it's you got to tip your hats off to English and the defense. Like I said, there's definitely things to still work on.
Yep.
There's some blown coverages here and there, some tackling issues, but 14
bringing
points.
pressure is my only.
And I agree. I would like to see more pressure. They have the guys to do it. I don't know why they don't do it enough, but there's still stuff to work on. We're 3-0 though, baby. I'll be honest. There was times where I didn't think we'd be here 3-0. So
yeah, I think
it's hard to complain.
And hey, Boston College, as bad as they were in week 1, I mean, they almost beat Florida State today, and really, it would have went to overtime if they hit that extra point. So that might not be as easy as we were hoping, but hey, we should beat them. We get past Boston College. We are 4-0 heading into NC State. It doesn't have to be pretty at all times, but 4-0 heading into that game gives you a chance to get ranked before we play Notre Dame, because if we go on the road and beat NC State, I think we finally cracked the top 25. Now, I don't think we're going to make up much ground this week, despite being 3-0, because IU wasn't ranked. IU was lower than us, and we won, but we actually didn't even cover the spread. Although, I mean, on the prediction on here, I predicted we would win 27-20, and we won 21-14. That being said, it's kind of like the Georgia Tech game. I predicted that pretty much on the money, but neither game, the Georgia Tech game nor this game, played out anything like I thought they would to get to
Mm-hmm.
the final score. Like, I would not have guessed we would have had the fortitude to come back against Georgia Tech after such an abysmal second quarter, and we did. And I would not have guessed that, being up 21-0 and getting the ball back, air quotes, in the second half, I just wouldn't have guessed. I was nervous about that onside kick, but I didn't think they'd actually do it. It crossed my mind, and they did it. Props to
I
Tom Allen. He made some good adjustments today.
He did, and I know when we talked Wednesday, I asked Sammy Jacobs about Tom Allen and perhaps
What's up,
his
Connor?
status here at IU, and I've never thought that he was a bad coach. I think he's an excellent man and a good coach, and he showed that today. He showed that he had some adjustments up his sleeve. They outplayed us in the second half, and we still found a way to win. So if you're looking for some positives, I think that would be something to take away. Like, we played so poorly in the second half, and we still found a way to win. And sometimes you're just going to need a game or two like that. That it's just going to happen. You got to find a way to make plays, find a way to win, and we
Mhm.
did that. So
Yep, that's a good thing about close games is that you find a way to you have to find new ways to pull them out. Couch House says they wouldn't have to bring pressure if the defensive line gets pressure like they should. I don't disagree with you, Couch House. Oh, like there are plays where you need to be able to rush forward and at least get some pressure. But here's what I will say to that. Here's what I'll say is that I've not seen a team rush forward consistently and not bring pressure and succeed unless you're talking about Clemson a few years ago when they had all 5-star defensive linemen,
mhm.
Alabama and Georgia. We don't have that. So I do agree that the line could have played better. I mean, I'm looking at Heron in particular, and I'm thinking, man, we got to get more out of you over there on the edge. I think that Ashton Gelati had his moments. Also, think he could have had a few more. Now at the end there, of course, we had the big stop, all props, put 3 defensive tackles out there, made it happen. And that was great. But I think overall, Couch House, I think there are times you have to bring pressure. You have to disguise your coverages, your defense, especially with a redshirt freshman quarterback.
Mhm.
Like, the if Tom Allen can have anything for a redshirt freshman quarterback, if you say, hey, what defense do you want for your young guy? He's going to pick a defense where you don't bring any more than 4 and he just sits back there and has all day. So the defense, I'm not like faulting you. You gave up 12, you gave up 14 points. But there are some things you can definitely like that are going to burn you against, like a Sam Hartman, for example.
Mhm.
Why is it Sam Hartman played so bad against us last year? That was the first game where we brought a bunch of pressure. And I mean, you saw what it did to him. Uh, and I think IU kind of rattled Jack a little bit in the second half with those covers. I mean, they really started bringing the heat. Uh, they just you just got to do it. Let's see. Let me look here. Scott Satterfield's in a game with Miami, Ohio. Okay, haven't had a chance to look at
That's
any
not
games right
surprising.
now. No, not surprising. They had a
I
good
will
week last week.
I will say that this doesn't apply to us any, but Alabama is in a dogfight right now with South Florida. I mean, they're it's 10-3 with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. Alabama
crazy
might
day.
it might be time for Saban to hang it up.
I didn't want to go that far, but it just feels like something's off there in Alabama, right? It just feels
He's
like
just getting
something's
up
off.
there in age because at some point it's like, are you going to be able to get them back where they were? I mean,
I didn't realize he's like 74 or
yeah, he's
something.
old.
He's old. He is old. I did not know that.
10-7, Cincy. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else out of the box score? Let me check. I'm gonna look at I couldn't get the load on my screen because I was by myself. and I didn't know how it would look. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't see the screen
What are
when
you
you
looking
do
for, a box score?
Yeah, I had a box score up,
Let me see what
and
I could do.
but I want to see Jamari Thrash. Let's see. He had receiving. There we go. Mari Thrash had 4 receptions for 159 yards.
Now, this crazy part is he did all that in the first half.
I
I
know,
don't
I know.
I
He
don't think
dropped that. He dropped his
yeah,
best chance in the second half. He dropped a big one too.
yeah.
That was a big drop, but I mean, 4 receptions for 159 yards. Uh, Couch House, the crowd was really good. I thought for.
Mhm.
I mean, I was impressed. I think we had just as many fans as IU, if not a little bit more.
If I had to put a number, I would say 70 to 30 U of L to IU. Like the U of L side was pretty much packed. I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing any like little spotches of the crowd that there was openings. Like it seemed like it was packed. The IU side had a few spots here and there. If I had to guess, it was definitely 65, 70% U of L, and then the rest were IU. So it was a great crowd. Great crowd.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, Larry, while you could be in here with us. I understand your honey-do list. I'm sure I'm about to get one whenever my wife gets home. But that's why I got on here, because she's not home yet. And I thought, you know what? I want to get on here and do a recap of this game and talk about it. But yeah, man, it was just so many emotions, and it's hard. Like, people, I know people in the Discord, for example, were annoyed because some of us were thinking the game was over. But let me tell you something: it is hard to sit there in the sea of IU and watch them go from, like, we're screwed, we have no chance in this game, to like what it got to towards the end of the third quarter. Sitting on that side, it was a madhouse. I mean, they
Mhm.
were pumped.
Mhm.
And then I'm just sitting there. I'm just sitting there waiting on. I'm like the guy with the stick, the meme, like, do something, just do something.
And
Like, get
they
a
wanted it so
turnover, get
bad.
a big play.
They wanted that one so bad, especially when they started to make that comeback. But yeah, like I said, man, it's you're gonna have games like that, and the fact that they found a way to win, they faced a ton of adversity in the second half. They didn't. Let's just be honest. They didn't. We did not play well in the second half at all,
No.
really on any phase of the game, and
No,
they
I
found a
think
way to get it done.
defense found ways to get it done when they had to at times, but get the road getting there was rough, and still
Yes,
had some, we still have some things to improve in that regard as well. Jalen Lucas, by the way, 10 receptions, 98 yards, and he's a running back. Jalen Lucas is a beast. He was the one I was the most worried about coming into this game. He is fast.
he
He
is
is just
good.
fast.
He's a good
He only
player.
had 8 carries for 29 yards, but he had that's kind of odd. He's the running back. He had 29 yards rushing, 98 yards receiving. So he had a big game for us. Mike, who's UK play tonight? I'm sure it's a MAC school.
Oh, I'm sure. Don't they play like Akron or something?
Oh, I'm sure I always guess it's a MAC school if it's not SEC. That's who they love to play. But I just saw Mike's comment about UK just kicking off. That being said, yeah, Jalen Lucas is a guy that I think, like, Jeff Brohm would love to have. That kind of, like, he kind of had. Kevin Coleman didn't have a good game today, and he's kind of that style, that mold of player. He had 1 reception for 5 yards, 1 carry, -8 yards, which was that I put in the Discord, we need to do some misdirection. Jeff Brom says, all right, I
Mhm.
got you. We do a misdirection, we
And
lose
then
8 yards.
we did not need to do a misdirection.
I was like, who's the dumbass that said we
Yeah,
needed to do a
what
misdirection?
an
What an
idiot.
idiot.
Yeah, and see, there's been a lot of talk about how the offense performed, how Jack performed, and let's not. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've been on here and I've defended Jack Plummer. I'm not going to defend that second half. That was pretty bad. But Jeff Brom didn't do him a whole lot of favors with the play calling. That reverse call was just so bad, so bad.
Yeah.
And I know hindsight's 2020, but that place just set us back so much. And then the very next play, it's 3rd and 18, 3rd and a mile, and you don't get anything there. And it was a good drive there until the reverse call. That just set us back. All the momentum just set it back. So
And Jack Plummer had 8 rushes for 42 yards, and remember, that counts sacks, and I'm pretty sure he got sacked at least once for a big loss, if not twice. So that counts that. His long was 20. He had a long of 20 yards. So, yeah, 20 Jack Plummer had a 20-yard run. So that's what I mean by wizard feet. He's the kind of guy, his feet just do weird things that he shouldn't be able to do. He's actually really hard to bring. He's really hard to get a hold of back there. And that's a plus. That's something that I didn't see coming into the year. So, and at the end, that final drive to finally take the knee, I mean, he had 2 big runs on that drive, 2 first
Mhm.
downs. Big for us. Now, I was a little irritated. I thought the flag was going to be that they hit him out of bounds because they did a little bit. I was like, man, I wouldn't have called that. Then to find out it's our guy getting an unsportsmanlike conduct, and that made me nervous again. But it was like my 2 IU in-laws were after the first half were like, dude, you act like the game's not over. You need to calm down. Like, you act like there's any chance we could come back. And I told him, I said, guys, not until we score the first possession of the second half. I said, if we
Mhm.
get up 28 nothing or even 24 nothing, I feel great. And of course, we know what happened after that. And so then at the end of the third quarter, I looked over at him and I said, this is why I wasn't content.
Mhm.
I said, look at the score now.
We definitely played down to our competition in the second half, but
Yep.
and I mentioned the play calling in the second half was not good. I will give Jeff this credit though. That was a ballsy call after we stopped them on the 1 and you have the ball on the 1 and they run that play action boot where Jack ran for the first down. That
Yeah,
was a ballsy call on the
that
1-yard line to
was.
run that because when Jack booted out, he was tiptoeing the back line. So,
That
um,
was.
it was a ballsy call. Like I said, just we got out with the win. We're 3-0. It feels good. There's definitely stuff to improve on for sure. Definitely things to work on and you can get better, but being 3-0 at this point feels great. When's the last time we were 3-0? I mean, it's got to be
Lamar.
2017,
It's got to be
2017
Lamar.
Lamar. Yeah.
The year we got like up to like number 5 or whatever it was, or number 8.
Mhm.
So we were in the top 10. I remember that, but we beat Florida State, and I don't think we've been there since then. I could be wrong. I'm thinking. I know it wasn't. I don't
I
think
think
Lamar's senior
I think 2017 Lamar's final year we might have, but
or junior year. Yeah. He didn't. Yeah, his final year. I mean, we might have. I don't remember, but it's been a while. Is the point? And another play that kind of scared me that we did towards the end was when Jet Brohm drops back on second down. I think it was 2nd and 7 or 2nd and 8, and we're trying to run the clock out. Jack Plummer throws the ball, and he did not make a bad throw, but the receiver dropped. I think that was the Jamari Thrash drop, but I might have the wrong receiver because there were a few drops today, a few key ones. But that was a drop, and it was for a
mhm,
first down. And instead, it's 3rd down and 8, and we had a stopped clock. So that was key for Jack Plummer to run and get that. Because that was the second time he ran out and got a first down. I believe that was the one that sealed it, unless I'm misremembering. But I remember it was 2nd and about 8. They threw it incomplete, drop pass, and I thought right then, I'm like, now what are we gonna do? Because you got to
mhm,
pass it, don't you? But no, Jack took off. He dropped back, took off, and it was a clutch play. Sometimes you got to find unconventional ways to pull it out. And even though Jack Plummer is not one that you want to rely on his feet for, if he can bail you out times, I mean, that's a big deal, to have that in your arsenal.
mhm. He's kinda surprised me with his mobility a little bit. Like, I don't think anybody considers him a scrambler, and I certainly don't, but he's shown the ability to have some mobility and get out of the pocket a little bit when he has to.
Mhm.
I would love to see him, and this is probably my main gripe from him, is to throw the ball away more. Like
Yeah, yeah,
that play where he was scrambling out left and it was almost getting sacked and just pitched it out. I don't know what the hell he was thinking.
yeah,
That play kind of infuriated me because that's just one you got to get rid of it. I know it's 3rd down and it sucks, but you got to get rid of
yeah.
it, man. Like you got to let that go.
Well, and what was funny about that play is I think the person running the scoreboard got really confused because after that intentional grounding, they put up their 4th and 15. And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, Jack Plummer runs out there, and my in-laws were like, "What's he doing? Jet Brom, is he a moron?" And like the
Mhm.
guy keeps looking. My in-law is like, "What is Jet Brom doing?" And he's an IU fan, mind you. And he's like, "What is your coach doing? What is he doing? What is he doing?" And then we didn't get it. And I thought it said 4th and 15. So I
Yeah.
thought, oh my gosh, we just gave IU the ball at our 40-yard line. And then all of a sudden, like our punter went out there. And I was like, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Because that was probably the most scared because we were on the ropes. It was 21-14. It looked like we went for it on 4th and 15 at our own 40. I didn't know. I had no words. I was
Yeah.
furious. And then to find out it was just a clock or it was an operator malfunction. Too close for comfort many times during this game.
Yeah. Yeah. They definitely made the second half way tougher than it needed to be. And you mentioned the punter when the punter came out. Speaking of punting, that was some of the worst punting from both
Yeah,
teams that I've
yeah,
seen in a long time. That was
yeah.
those were two just horrible punts by the IU punter of the hour. Like I don't know, that was some of the worst. Special teams was not good really on either side of the ball today.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, oh, my wife just texted me and said your pork butts you're putting on tomorrow are leaking all over the fridge. What happened? I
Uh
don't
oh.
know.
Uh
So I lost my train of thought there for a second. Oh, I know what it was. The goal line play. I gotta admit, I thank you a little bit, IU. Even though don't get me wrong, our defense made a great play. I did not like that play call. You're at the half
oh.
yard line, and you decided to run it straight up the middle with the running back. Now, if you would have quarterback sneak that, I mean, that's the play I would have probably done, or I would have done some sort of like play action rollout bootleg because Tavon Jackson, he's not super fast. He's fast enough
But
though.
he's athletic though, and that
Yeah,
like,
he's athletic and
I
fast
agree with
enough.
you. I would have put him on the outside, maybe an option, RPO, like something. I the run up the middle was very strange.
Yeah, thank you, IU, for doing the one play that everybody thought you were going to do because we
Mhm.
sold out for that. We sold out up the middle. And I mean, if you roll that out, it's a touchdown, whether it's you might have one guy out there who commits, and if he has a receiver and he's able to pass it, it's gonna be wide open. But my guess is he probably just walks into the end zone. We've seen it a million times in games. You're at the half-yard line, you bootleg out after a play action. All your guys jump in the middle at the running back, and then you just walk right in. And it was probably there. I'd have to see the replay. I haven't seen it yet, but my guess is that was there. So that was pretty scary. And if that game goes into overtime, I don't know, man. We were on the ropes. So that was a big defensive stand and I was worried. Our defense looked kind of gassed toward
Mhm.
toward in the fourth quarter. I saw a lot of hands on hips. Saw a lot of guys a little bit slower to get on and off the field. So I don't know. It was kind of like it was like a boxing match that went 10 rounds and you won the first 5 rounds very convincingly. And then they took the 5 rounds at the end and won, but didn't win enough to overcome those first 5 rounds. That's kind of what it reminded me. You see that a lot in boxing, and
Mhm.
that's what it reminded me of. But other than that, just wanted to get on here real quick. Ty, I didn't know if you had any other thoughts about it.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably covered it, but like I said, guys, can't say it enough. To be 3-0 at this point feels great. We're a quarter of the way in, undefeated. Um, when you get through Boston College, yeah, Notre Dame, NC State, and all that. If you can get those through those games, I'm going to be starting to get really, 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 really excited and start to think towards the future of whatever possibility New Year's Six bowls, stuff like that. I don't want to get too ahead of myself because this team still has a long way to go.
Long way to
They
go.
got a long way to go, a lot of stuff to improve on, but
I'll
it's
say
hard
this:
not
you
it's
get
hard
these
not to be
next
excited.
two. You
It's
get
hard
these
not to be
next
excited.
two, which one of those would be at NC State, but you get these
Yeah.
next two. You head into Notre Dame with a top 25 matchup. Now, if you
Yep.
lose either one of them, you won't, but you'll still have if you go in 4-1, that's not the worst thing ever. Now you can't lose them both, but Boston College scares me a little bit after what they did today. But we should at home. We should be able to take care of them. And if we can get to 5-0 and play Notre Dame on October 7th, and I hope Notre Dame stays undefeated. Honestly, you get 2 undefeated people. I don't know. I might have to miss that wedding. I'll put it that way.
I'll
I'm
say
supposed to be in a wedding, but
if they're all undefeated, you're still going to be at a wedding.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. There's some games you just can't miss.
That's true.
I
That's good.
mean,
I'll have to find myself a ticket for that one if that's the case.
and then last thing I'll say is, how about Stanquan Clark, true freshman, coming in there? Big play at the end, man. You love to see it. You love to see it. All right, well, guys, we are 3-0. Doesn't matter how we got there. We're there.
It hasn't been pretty, but we got there. It has
All
not
right.
been pretty.
And I got to leave that IU section and that drunk douchebag below me with a big fat W.
Uh-huh.
I didn't say a word to her when I left. I didn't have to. The scoreboard said it. All right. Till next time, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday at our normal time, 9 o'clock. Go Cards.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. Like and subscribe.